Hey, Rick.
Hey, Megan, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and I think we've got a pretty good topic today.
Yeah,
It's kind of like digging up the dirt, spilling the tea, having a real talk here about the top 3 excuses that people are using, what we're hearing, to not move forward and buy a home. So let's break it down, Rick. All right.
yeah, you
Number
got
one
it.
excuse is that I want to save more money.
Yep,
So,
bigger down payment. Yep.
all right, I want a bigger down payment. So let's
Mhm.
just use a sales price of 800,000 with
Uh-huh.
a 10% down loan amount. Okay. So
Mhm.
that puts us at $720,000 loan amount. Okay.
Mhm.
So that kind of gives everybody a snapshot of, how this looks. So if they want to save more money, how much longer are they going to wait? Well, a house at 800,000 at just 5% of increase in value in 12 months, which is, by the way, super conservative because things
It
have
is.
been appreciating a lot more than that since, I believe, 2013, people.
Mhm.
2013, it's been 10 solid years of appreciation. Okay. So at 800,000 at 5%, that's 40,000 a year.
Right.
So how much would a buyer have to save to have more money down to outpace the appreciation in the market? They'd have to have way more than 40,000.
Right.
So if they saved 40,000 in 12 months and they're like, okay, now we're ready to buy, congratulations, you're exactly where you were 12 months ago, but you've
Right.
just lost 40,000 instead of gaining 40,000 in equity.
Right. Well, that's a great point. I tell buyers all the time when we have this discussion, like it's a natural reaction to say, well, like you're going to buy a car, you want a nicer car, you save more money. Well, that's because car prices pretty much stay the same, right? But when you're looking at real estate, it's not a static market. Pricing values are going up. So to your point there, that someone says, yes, I want to save more money. Well, that's great. But they have to save, in this example, $40,000 or more just to break even and have the same payment they would have today. And so the question you have to ask, the buyer has to ask in their mind is, okay, great. Yes, we can save more money, but what are the chances of us saving $40,000 more in the next 8 to 12 months? Well, probably not very high.
And if they want to buy a house and they have extra money and they want to pay down their principal, then they're free to make extra payments.
They can do that. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. So if they're going to save the money, once they buy the house and they want to pay it down later, yes, they can do 2 things with that. We've talked about this. Yet they have 2 options. They can just pay the mortgage down and lower their principal balance. But by doing that, that does not lower their payment. That accelerates their loan term, meaning that instead of paying the house off in 30 years, you might pay it off in 23 or 24 years. Still a great option. Option number 2, which people don't really know about, is called a recast. And under a recast, you have a one-time option to pay that mortgage down and lower your payment without refinancing the house. So that's
So
kind
they
of a
can
cool option.
still, and they have what, 2 years to do that, right?
There's no time limit on that. It's whenever they have the extra cash, but that's a one-time option.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense because if they are confident that they can save a lot of money to keep up with the pace in the market, why not just save up a bunch of money, and at the, after they have a huge chunk, do a recast, and then they can get their payments lower.
Yep, without refinancing.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about this excuse?
No, I think
Anything else
that's
to add?
pretty well
Okay.
covered it. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Now, here's the next excuse. And Rick, you're the expert on this. Oops. They're going to wait for rates to drop. What's going on there?
Well, look, we know the guidance we're getting, we're pretty clear in the way these cycles work. Yes, at some point rates are going to go down. We think that's going to be really the first quarter of next year. How much, no one knows for sure, but we're thinking in the mid fours, high fours, something like that. So yes, they can wait. So, but you have to go back to question number, the reason number one. Well, you can wait a year, but what's that do to housing values?
Right.
You're going to pay a higher price for the house. So you're not really going to get ahead with that.
Right.
I mean, yes, the payment would be lower on this, on the same $800,000 house, but that $800,000 house, when those rates go down, it's probably going to be $850 or higher. So the lower rate in that example does not put them ahead of that curve compared to today.
Exactly. So let's think of a way to articulate this. Okay. So rates today are at about, on average, we'll say about 6.5%.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. So if they bought for 800, they had a 720 loan amount. That's with 10% down. What is their principal and interest?
About $4,551.
Okay. $4,551 a month. That's not including taxes and insurance.
Correct.
So if today 6.5, 800,000 with the 720 loan amount, and I was using the 5% increase of 1 year, but I have to tell you that if rates go to the high fours, low fives, it's going to appreciate more than my very conservative model.
Correct.
Because the less things cost per month, the more people can afford them, and that just increases demand.
Drives prices higher.
And that drives the prices higher. So, so let's say they wait a year and they buy at, we'll say 6%. Let's just say for the heck of it, okay? But they have to pay more now, okay, because the price went up. So it's 840 minus a 10% down payment. Then what's the loan amount there?
Do the math here for you, Megan. So that's going to be a loan amount of 700 and let me double check there. 840, you said? 756.
Okay, so 756 loan amount at 6% interest. What's the payment on that?
4,533.
4,533. Okay, so the payment at 6.5 at 800 with 10% down at a 720 loan amount was 4,551. If the house prices go up just 5% and the rates go down to 6%, your loan amount is going to be more. Your payment is
$18 difference.
It's an $18 difference. And now you're having to finance more, and you didn't get that 1 year of equity.
So and so what that also means they've lost $40,000 in equity.
Yeah,
that's like money in the bank.
Yeah, so you're going to wait a year, waiting for rates to go down. You're going to save $18. Congratulations. You can't even eat at Taco Bell, I don't think, for $18.
Last time I checked, it's not even in McDonald's. Maybe a Happy Meal, I don't know.
I know. So does this look like a competent way to explain this to people regarding the excuse of waiting for rates to come down?
Yeah, it's
anything else to add?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that the danger in waiting for rates to go down, as we've already discussed, is that the housing values will go up. And as those rates go down, that makes housing more affordable. So now there's more buyers in the market driving the prices even higher.
Right.
So the waiting for rates to go down is, yes, the rates will go down, but that does not mean you're going to get a lower payment.
Bingo. Okay, I think we've exhausted this excuse. So far we're two excuses. Neither one of them sound like a really good idea. Okay. So we've got the third excuse, which will be my area of expertise, and that is people are waiting for the prices to come down.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know, guys. We just talked about how prices really haven't come down since 2013. And we just talked about how rates are probably going to come down a little bit.
Mhm.
And I mean, in what scenario do we see prices coming down? Well, two things would have to happen. We would have to have the interest rates go way up. I mean, way up, and to literally stop everything, stop the press. Okay. And in last year, rates went up, 3 to 4%. I mean, it's never happened in history, And the market is still robust. Okay. I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't anticipate rates going, to 10% or something that would cause this to be a bust.
Correct.
So interest rates would have to go up, the market would have to stop, houses would have to sit on the market for months and months and months in order for people to start lowering their prices, lowering their expectations, and getting out of Dodge. Okay. So I don't really think this is going to happen. The next thing that would have to happen is that we would have to have a huge increase in what we call as inventory, which sounds like a really, warehousey way to say we need more houses for sale. I mean, there are 45% less homes for sale right now than there normally are. So what in the hell would cause 55% or more? I mean, it had to be like way more in order to change the prices.
Thousands
of people would have to put their house on the market in order to make the pendulum swing. And let's look at that. We've talked about this a multitude of times, that 29% of homeowners that have a loan have an interest rate of about 3% because they all did their refinances. So they're not getting foreclosed on.
Right.
And it's going to be really hard for them to walk away from that. So they're probably going to add on to their house, build an ADU, something, get a home equity line of credit to make the improvements that they want, rather than sell and get rid of that 3%. Because now they're looking at 6.5%, and they're thinking, why would I want to double my interest rate? Right.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Let's go back a minute, if you don't mind, too, Megan. Look at history a little bit here, because people always want to compare this market to the market we had in like 2006, 2007, and 2008. There's no comparison. They're entirely different markets, and here's the reason why. What created that implosion of the real estate market was there were so many of those toxic loans in those days. There were the stated income ARM loans, negative AM loans. Stated income was like crazy, and so there were a lot of people that bought homes that on stated income that really never qualified for that home. And so when that market happened, Fannie Mae did a survey. And they recognize that during that period of time, and this is a staggering number, 35% of the home buyers during that period of time never qualified to make the payment. So think about that. So a third of the home buyers didn't qualify to make the payments. Well, then over time, guess what happens? They can't make their payments. So that's why there was a flood of housing in the market.
Not to mention, sorry to jump on that, but not to mention those super low teaser rate loans that started out at 1%. Some of them started out 0%, and within 2 years they were 5-6%, and people didn't understand that. Anyway,
they didn't understand what they were getting into. So and so fast forward to today, the difference, because of Dodd-Frank legislation after the implosion, was that all of the homeowners that own homes today, and they're all around 3%, guess what? They actually qualified to make the payment. They had the income, the credit, and the assets to qualify and close that loan. And so they're not in distress. Those homeowners are happy campers. They got a great loan at a great rate, and they can make their payment. And so that's why we don't see this inventory of homes. It's not a distressed market in that regard.
Well, it's how people qualified. It's the amount of low interest rates that people have. And it's also the culture of our society after the pandemic, and that is that we, had a taste of what it was like to be locked in our own place. And a lot of people didn't like the situation they were in. They didn't want to be locked into a place with no outside space, no garden, blah, blah, blah. So everybody's idea of what it means to be a homeowner, I really feel like there's a pretty significant, improvement in that attitude. And so people have bought since then, and like, they're never going to be in that situation again. They're always going to be a homeowner. So, and people aren't moving as often as they used to. So I think this trend of not very many houses for sale, I just don't know quite how that's going to go away. I think that's here to stay.
Yeah, we're going to be in this market for some time. There's nothing that we can see, and I think you agree with me on this too, that's going to indicate we might see a large increase of homes available. And as you said a minute ago, it would take literally thousands of more homes in the market, almost overnight in Orange County alone, to change that narrative.
Right, exactly. So, that being said, you can still, I think a lot of people, I don't know, I don't really hear them. I'm gonna throw this monkey wrench in here, but I think that people feel a little bit anxious about being able to find a home too,
Sure, of course.
I think that they hear stories and they read, news and social media, and I think they might be a little bit intimidated. Like, why would I do that if I have to overbid or waive a contingency or fill in the blank? They're just sort of risk adverse, and so they're waiting for the market to kind of chill out so they could have a little more say. And to them, I would say that yes, it is pretty hair raising to be in the real estate market, but it really, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I mean, they can go to any person and anywhere. I don't care, whatever works for you, that you can find somebody that you can trust their guidance and the process so that you can get the right advice to make the right decision for your family. So I understand and acknowledge that it's a little bit much out there, but if you have your expectations managed, that I think you can definitely be successful.
Well said.
Sorry for such a long one, but
that's a lot to take in. I know.
I think this, just people need to hear this and stop making these excuses and find a new excuse, or just meet with their realtor, sit down and kind of go over their needs and wants and come up with a plan.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. If we look back even again the last 2 or 3 years, I think every buyer who has bought a home 2 or 3 years ago, when they were having the same struggle, that thought housing prices was too high, everything was overvalued, now they own a home. And I can almost assure you that every one of those home buyers who owns a home now today, they're saying, thank you, I'm glad we made that choice.
No kidding. Exactly. All right, Rick, I appreciate you. I want you to have a good rest of your day. And
thank you, you too.
I'll see you next time.
Okay, see you, Megan. Take care.